The Hartley Show is an entertainment program and does not own any of the copyrighted material featured in this episode. All copyrighted material featured will be used as fair use for purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, and/or research. Taki. By the hoary hosts of Hoggoth and the crimson bands of Sideric, it's time to talk about the Sorcerer Supreme, the master of the mystic arts, Dr. Strange. Dr. Strange first appeared in Strange Tales number 110 that was published in July 10th of 1963. Now, that was an anthology comic that starred the Human Torch, and it's interesting to note that in his first appearance, he didn't even get the cover. In fact, the stars of the cover of Strange Tales number 110 were Paste Pot Pete and the Wizard. Paste Pot Pete in his full paste pot glory with paste dripping out the side, but I digress. Now, Dr. Strange is Dr. Stephen Strange. He was a surgeon who had his hand shattered, and in trying to get his hands fixed, he ended up discovering the dark arts, as they used to refer to it back in the day. He sought out an old practitioner of magic, and in so doing, I think his name was the Ancient One. I'm drawing a blank on that right now. He became this master of the magic master. He became a master of what they used to originally refer to as the dark arts, but now is the phrase you refer to Dr. Strange by is the Sorcerer Supreme, which basically means he's this universe's stalwart magician. He's the protector of the universe as far as the dark arts and magic is concerned. Dr. Strange, classically, his main sidekick is this guy by the name of Wong. But the saddest thing about Wong is that the era that Dr. Strange was first produced in the 60s, it was such a racist, horrible era that Wong was originally just referred to as the Ancient One's faithful servant. He wasn't even given a damn name for issue after issue after issue after issue. I don't even know when he was originally given the name Wong. For ages, he was just referred to as Faithful One, which is really lame and horribly racist. Now, one of the neat things about Dr. Strange is that he is this very niche character. He started off, like I was saying, as just a backup in Strange Tales, and he only, I think, had 1 or 2 appearances before they took a little break. And they got so many letters requesting more Dr. Strange that they expanded on his backup. Originally, the backup tales were only 5 pages long, and then it expanded to a full 8 pages, basically half the book or so. I don't know that it ever got past 8 pages until he took over the book, which did eventually happen. I'm not sure when, but they just followed, as Marvel classically would do back in the day. They just changed the title of the book, and Dr. Strange got the continuation of the numbering and whatnot. So as I mentioned, you got the Ancient One, the guy who taught him. You've got Wong, the guy who looks after his house, his Sanctum Sanctorum. Yes, he has funny names for everything. And his cast of characters sort of expanded from that point. He got a girlfriend from the alternate dimension reality, the Dormammu, one of his main bad guys, rules over. Clea, she's this foxy white-haired chick who, like all women in comic books, wear the skin-tight clothing. You got this funky green skin, sort of goat leg dude by the name of Rintra. And there was this great series put out by Brian K. Vaughan, writer Brian K. Vaughan, called Doctor Strange: The Oath, all about Dr. Strange trying to save Wong because it turns out he has cancer, and he adopted the Night Nurse, as we've seen now in the Netflix Daredevil show, played by what's-her-face, the ever-sexy Rosario Dawson. I almost couldn't remember her name. The Night Nurse was sort of adopted into the fold of Doctor Strange. I don't think she's really lasted as a member of his sort of entourage, but at least for a brief period of time in this one fantastic series, The Oath, she had a role with Doctor Strange. Little known fact, the original $6 Million Man action figures were just repainted Barbie dolls. Now, Doctor Strange, like I say, he's been this sort of fringe character for his entire duration of existence. He hasn't really ever sort of really broken out. Of course, we've got the big Marvel movie coming up soon with Benedict Cumberbatch and what's her name? Tilda Swinton? Swanson? Tilda Swanson? Swanson. And this looks poised to be one of Marvel's hugest movies, but it'll be neat to see if they can actually make Doctor Strange work. Prior to that, all we've really seen Doctor Strange in is a handful of video games and just a supporting role. I think he was in some of those fighting Street Fighter games. The Imperfects, maybe he was in that too, I'm not sure. And there was a TV movie put out in the 70s. I think it was 1978 that basically nobody ever knew anything about. They've relaunched Doctor Strange just recently with a new comic written by the ever amazing Jason Aaron, who wrote Scalped and the best Ghost Rider run of all time, and of course is writing Thor now, and Chris Bacalo, one of the coolest artists ever going, very stylized, and they're a perfect blend. They seem to have taken Doctor Strange back to his roots, where he's this guy doing the house calls, helping people when they've got problems that are beyond the norm. And they've introduced a really cool little element in the new Doctor Strange book that I thought was fantastic. They've got Doctor Strange going and hanging out at a bar with his magic-wielding buddies. He's hanging out with the shaman from Alpha Flight. He's hanging out with the Scarlet Witch. He's hanging out with Brother, or Dr. Voodoo now. And one of the themes of the comic is that they've moved back to this notion that magic has a price, that everything Doctor Strange is doing, hanging out with the Avengers, there's going to be a price to be paid. At one point in the comic, when they're drinking at the bar, this old magic user comes up to him, grumbling about how he's forgotten that there's a price to be paid, that every night he kills a bunny rabbit to pay the price, and you better get on it, Steven. So it'll be neat to see where the series goes from there. Now, Doctor Strange was created, of course, by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, the team that brought you Spider-Man back in the day. And as I've sort of been mentioning, he's never been a huge seller. But because of that, Doctor Strange collected editions sell for a crazy amount. The classic hardcover editions that Marvel puts out, or the collected editions that are both in hardcover and softcover, Marvel Masterworks. I don't know how far they produced how many volumes they produced of the Marvel Masterworks for Doctor Strange, but these things are crazy expensive now. If you go on Amazon to try and find this, you're going to have to pay $400 to $500 to get a collected hardcover edition or a softcover edition. Now, my first introduction to Doctor Strange was in this, 1979 as a kid. I got this cute little bad boy. Hey, Troy, you want to get a little close up on that bad boy, huh? One of these cute little pocketbooks. And if you look real close, it even says right here, made in Canada. So this is probably actually worth a fair amount of money, but as you can see, it's all beaten up because I've had it since I was 9. And I must say, actually, these old reprint books were pretty fantastic. They had good production values on these old bad boys. So if you're looking to get old Doctor Strange stuff, unfortunately, you're kind of backed up against a wall. Marvel Masterworks, they've done a second printing right now that is available on Amazon, but last I checked, there was only 6 available left. And when these bad boys are all sold up, they're going to end up, I'm guessing, going for huge dollar amounts. So gobble them up now. Now, I do suspect once the movie comes out, Marvel will almost undoubtedly reproduce these volumes in their Epic line, which will be full color, and they produce them in a thicker volume and all that. I'm assuming this is the case because Marvel has always been quite smart about their collected editions, but ultimately, who knows? So there you have it. Doctor Strange, the master of the mystic arts, the Sorcerer Supreme. As always, a giant thanks to you for watching, and a massive thanks to Netherworld and Darryl for letting us film here. See you next time.